Hey, Insider, we've got a special guest joining us today who recently graduated from our LMA course, and she'll be sharing with us in terms of her experience on board LMA, what she found the whole journey to be, and everything in between. So first off, it's a pleasure to have you. Let's start with the introductory question. What's your full name? Where are you currently based? And what are you currently up to in terms of occupation?
Hi, everyone. My name is Mariah. I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma in the US. And currently I am a neuroscience research specialist. And I'm actually an emerging and budding entrepreneur, starting my first Amazon business, outsourcing products to sell on Amazon. And just in a really large growth process with that. And LMA has been a really good supplement to that growth.
Okay. So Mariah, prior to joining LMA, if you were to just share with us like a glimpse, what was the issues you were experiencing in your life and how was it showing up in your life back then?
So several months ago, I embarked on this journey to become an entrepreneur and to start my first business. And just taking it a step at a time, I knew that from the beginning, I was determined to do whatever it takes to always take one step past my fear on any given day. So I knew eventually I would be successful with this. I initially thought that the upfront investment in the education and, investing that money was going to be the hard part. But I actually realized that the hardest part for me was asking for help and receiving help and showing up with these people and in this training that I paid for. And that really brought up a lot of issues for me, ones that I did not expect, and some really big walls and blocks that were really hard for me to try to overcome on my own. I had a really hard time showing up to do the training. I was putting so much pressure on myself to make this business a success and having a certain amount of success in a certain amount of time. And I just found myself completely frozen, which was really scary after making this huge investment. And actually starting to question if I was going to be able to unlock those challenges. So, yeah, I think I've kind of gone a little bit like round circle. But is there anything that I missed from your question?
So you were saying essentially you had started this training to do with the business and you've found yourself almost questioning yourself. What symptoms were you experiencing back then in terms of your inner world, in terms of how was it showing up?
Honestly, just like constantly feeling like I'm not ready. This vision for my business to have it be something that's really positive in my life, that's fun, that is relaxing, that's a creative outlet, because I want the abundance in my life to be mirrored by this true happiness within myself. So by putting all of this pressure on myself, it was turning it into something that I dreaded because I didn't know if I could meet my own expectations. And for that very reason, I was like, I'm not going to let myself start and do this from a place of lack or negativity or stress, because that's not what it's about. It's not about working hard and making money. It's about a lifestyle and growth and being that huge person that I know that I can be to have this abundance in my life. And so I was just having a really hard time literally just showing up every day. And I just found that, putting it off one day turned into a week, turned into 2 months. And when is this going to end? And I knew that I was in need of a huge breakthrough. And honestly, in the LMA recruitment video that we were shown, there was one part where one of the alumni had mentioned how Tim's program will get you to take action. And I was like, okay, well, that's exactly what I need, because that's like the formula where all these things that I'm adding together are not creating the result that I want. And I found that LMA actually did exactly that. And so I was so pleased, because also, before all of this, starting my business and stuff, when I was in college, I made it into an internship at MIT. which is one of the most competitive universities in the world. And in college, I had this flow and this creativity and this focus, and I never second guessed myself. I never, overanalyzed what I was doing while I was doing it. I would just do it, and then it was done, because I only had enough time to do it and then let it be done. Once I graduated, I was like, oh my gosh, like I hit my peak at 21. What am I going to do now? And so then I started putting all this pressure on myself to be a certain way and do things so that I would surpass that peak. And then by putting all this pressure on myself and overanalyzing myself, it actually gave me the opposite result. And then I was like, not only am I not overcoming that peak, I'm also so stifled that I can't even perform at who I used to be. LMA brought me back to who I used to be. Someone that honestly, I didn't know if I would ever be that again, because I did go through a phase in my life where I lost a lot. Now I've got that motivation, that focus, that passion and drive and clarity, and I'm not putting that pressure on myself. And now I'm actually able to show up every day in my life, and I'm happy and I'm excited. I feel bigger than I've felt ever in my life. And that's why I know that now my business is going to be everything I've wanted it to be and more, because I've become everything I've wanted to be and more. And honestly, without LMA, I think I would have been digging through many, many, many more audiobooks for many more hours to get here. But I needed this breakthrough now. And LMA has delivered that 100%. I've gotten more out of this program than what I expected. And I wish everyone in the entire world could or would do it, because for me, it's like an endless well of growth and breakthroughs. And it has been that since the beginning. And I think also doing the live season was like such an enriching experience, because it made me feel like I had a community doing it with me. It made me feel like accountable, that like every day that I wasn't showing up, I was asking myself, like, why, or when are you going to be ready? But fortunately, I was patient with myself. I let it happen organically. And I woke up one day and I was just literally like, I am ready. I'm ready to show up. I'm ready to be here. And it's awesome. And I'm so happy. Like, it's unlocked this whole new chapter in my life. And like, I'm so grateful. I just get to live with this gratitude every day now. And I plan to maintain that. I'm going to keep doing this LMA material over and over again until I master it all. Even 10 years,
Love it.
I'll do it.
Love it. I feel fired up just listening to you. Okay, so you essentially, I take it you came across our LMA through YouTube advert, was it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you joined essentially the free webinar, and then you essentially made that decision to join LMA. During that moment of decision, I'm curious to know, because you're saying you was at that point in your business where you had invested this amount in the business courses. And of course, LMA was going to be another investment for yourself. So
yes.
what doubts or fears did you have in that moment of decision, and what ended up putting that fear to rest for you?
So I think it's 100% the fact that I committed myself that I will show up every day to face the challenge, even if the challenge is not showing up. And so I knew that no matter how long it takes, I'm committed to making my business succeed. I'm going to make money from my business, and I'm going to be able to, regain everything that I've invested. And I've always seen myself as the foundation of all foundations in my life. And my business is built on the foundation of me. And if I'm not at the strength that I need to be, and if I'm not the person that I need to be to build that vision, then I need to do everything that I can to become that person as quickly as I can. And actually, the day that I saw the LMA masterclass ad on YouTube, like I just felt like that day, like I just felt like something big is going to happen today. I'm going to have a breakthrough. Like some message, something's going to come into my life. I just could feel it. And as soon as I saw the ad for the masterclass, I was like, oh, heck yeah. Like, I'm connecting with everything that is being said to me. This is what I need to hear right now. And just seeing like the testimonials and seeing the quality that you bring forth, Tim, like I just knew in my gut that it was going to be a great investment and that it would definitely have a return on that investment. And I mean, it was scary investing more money, but as far as I could see it, like if I don't invest in becoming who I need to be, then it's not going to succeed anyway. My business isn't going to succeed anyway, because I know that I'm not going to want to continue to invest in something that is a stressful thing in my life. I'm trying to leave that stress behind and create something that's happy and fun and energizing and exciting. You know, I think sometimes people might think that, you know, abundance has to be hard to create, but I don't believe that. I think that as long as we grow ourselves to a certain point, we can make anything fun, even if it's totally challenging. And it's like, how am I ever going to surpass or overcome this challenge? Like, target energy is always clarifying and exciting. And
Right.
LMA brought that. LMA communicated that right away. And so I was like, I'm not afraid to make this extra investment. It was lofty because it's like another $1,000 on top of what I've already invested and everything else. I don't make that much money, but I dream big and I believe big. Some people might think I'm crazy and impractical, but I just think I'm a dreamer and life is short and I'm ready to answer all the what ifs. I'm not going to look back with regret. So LMA has leveled me up 10 times. And so I'm super excited.
So you took that leap forwards.
Decisions I've made.
Amazing to hear. So you made that decision, right? You joined us on this journey. So when you made that decision, when you got involved with the course, what ended up actually making you feel the happiest about that decision once you got involved?
I started having breakthroughs like right away. And, you know, initially when we join, you know, the live season starts, you know, at its own time, but the modules roll out week by week. And so I was just kind of like following along with those on my own. And it was literally like everything that I needed to hear right away. Like for me, especially like the first 3 weeks were like completely transformative and like shift after shift after shift. I actually have like 10 sticky notes over by my bed, I think from just going through week 1, that are just super empowering and uplifting. And whenever I read them, it makes me feel super powerful. And that was just week 1. You know, every week rolls out and it's like, oh my gosh. And I've been listening to a lot of audiobooks for a lot of years, since I was 16 and I'm 25 right now. And reading books interchangeably. Many hours of self-development, self-care, self-improvement. And I could recognize pieces in LMA from books that I've read and listened to over those 9 years, but it was all like perfectly formulated in this one place. And I'm like, I never could have like gone back and recreated any formulation of reading or listening to these books that would be as power packed and totally just on point like LMA is. And so I was like, oh my gosh, this just saved me countless hours of even trying to think of the right order to listen to all these books and synthesize this information. Some of those books are like 10 hours of listening on their own. I mean, this is like hours and hours. And every time you listen to it, you get something new. And so it's like, I don't know of any other way in my life that I could have formulated this powerful course of events that unfolds in LMA.
Yes, it's the first, I should say, it's not the first time I've heard in terms of how we're formulating it into one place, let's say. I suppose that was the aim of LMA, is actually taking different theories from different fields, psychology, Eastern philosophy, neuroscience, and just bringing it to one place, just making it more practical. So I'm glad to hear you enjoyed that. You said LMA helped you to become an action taker. And I think people watching this may be wondering how could it have helped you? What did LMA actually do that made you be able to take action in your life?
It took the pressure off my shoulders. So, like I said before, I reached a really high achievement at a young age. And I was like, how do I surpass that? That turned into me cycling all of this pressure onto myself. Like, you need to be better. You can't have these failures. You need to outperform what I did before. And having achieved that much success, like my family, I achieve anything and they're just like, oh, that's just Mariah. She's a high achiever. And so also like trying to reach a new peak where I could get some more like recognition and identification in my life, like all that pressure on me, it just stifled all of my creativity. It stifled all of my motivation, my confidence in myself to show up, because I was holding myself to the standard that isn't even attainable. Mm. And honestly, probably wouldn't even give me the results that I was hoping for. You know, sometimes people are only really capable of giving a level of like recognition and support that they're capable of. Mm. And some people just keep growing and growing and they expand that. Learn to like accept that sometimes people can't be what I need them to be. And I don't need to change myself to get people to be that. So LMA really expressed this whole point of like clarity and purpose and not putting all of this pressure on our shoulders. Like I can just be in the moment. I can flow. I can focus. I can focus.
Yeah.
I don't have to carry this burden. And once that was gone, it's like I just feel ready. I don't feel scared to take action. I feel curious. I feel excited to see what happens. I'm in the present moment thinking about the future. I'm not holding myself prisoner to the failure of yesterday, the failure to show up and to do what I needed to do. Because I was just in this cycle of every day beating myself up for the successes I didn't achieve yesterday. And then that turned into months. But it's like once you take that pressure off your back, it's like then your mind becomes clear. Then it opens up and you become creative and you become tapped in and tuned in and your mind is turned on and it just flows. And week three really cemented that for me. And now effort is effortless. It's not scary. I'm not hard on myself. I'm like, I know that if I sit down like right now to do any of these things, I'm confident that I'll be able to do great because there's no pressure and my creativity is on high. And that's like what I was looking for, that focus.
Mm. Awesome. I feel energized, like I said, just listening to you right now. I can feel the energy. Yeah. It's contagious.
Cool. Thanks. God, good. I'm so glad.
So, you're saying prior to LMA, you had gone through personal development and you was doing a lot of audiobooks and so forth. I think viewers will be able to relate to that. Got a lot of audiobook readers, also YouTube video watchers. So yes. What would you say, what makes LMA different from just listening to more audiobooks? What's different about LMA since you've gone through the process?
Well, I mean, honestly, you can take what would normally be like, I mean, I would even say up to like 40 hours of listening to randomly selected audiobooks. I mean, more than that, honestly. And it's like you're consolidating that into these back-to-back steps in each module that are focused, that are pointed, that have exercises, and it's set up so that you can do it right then and there. And it's so streamlined and it's so well synthesized that it's like, and I think that's why LMA delivers so many breakthroughs so quickly and so effectively, because it's like, I don't know that I could have listened to 30 audiobooks and necessarily synthesized that clear of a message because of all the noise in between when you're listening to book A that's like this many hours and then book B that's this many hours. So yeah, I mean, LMA, it just streamlines it. Like, and it takes out that middle step where you may or may not interpret it in a certain way and you may not synthesize it in a certain way. But LMA does that. It synthesizes it perfectly and pointedly. That's what, like, I had epiphany after epiphany and breakthrough after breakthrough. And I've had so many breakthroughs that I'm just like, mind blown. Like, I'm so glad that something like this exists, because I never thought that it could be that easy to have breakthroughs and then to grow and to flourish, and to also have a community of like-minded people who show up on Facebook like constantly. I mean, I'm not at that level yet that I show up every day, but I know that when I do, there's going to be that love and support there 100%. And it's amazing because there are a lot of people who show up over and over again every season. And it's like we could all become that person by being part of LMA. And there's so much growth that happens to become that person. And en route to being that person, like, it's like the sky's the limit and there's no ceiling. And I'm excited to see how far we can all go. And LMA is a great platform for that. Like, I would, if I could go back over and over again and decide to do LMA or not, I would choose LMA 100% of the time.
Well, it's a pleasure, to really hear this. And I think most importantly, though, the fact that you've been able to get back into action, that's really what matters. So I suppose the final question is going to be, what advice would you give to somebody right now who's currently thinking of joining LMA, but maybe they're sitting on the fence, debating whether or not they should try it or they should not? What advice would you give to that person debating whether or not they should join LMA right now?
Okay. Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but once someone signs up, isn't there like 30 days that you can choose to back out? So there's no risk for trying. The only risk is you keeping yourself accountable for showing up and trying out the modules and really giving it an effort to see what breakthroughs you can have. Because honestly, if you try and you really put in that effort from the start, you can start having breakthroughs. And I think once anybody signs up, they give it a try and they see how many breakthroughs they can have. And then they think of that like multiplied by all the modules and all the steps. Like, it's a no-brainer to stay, and maybe sometimes people aren't in the right financial position at that time. But once again, you can try it. You can see what you can get out of it. And at least if you can't afford it, then back out at that time, come back later, and you know that it's a guaranteed one-stop shop for lots of growth and transformation. And it could maybe even give you something as a goal to like save up for. So I think there's like no reason to not try it. I think it's safe to give it a try. And I think if it's growth that you're looking for, you will see that it is growth that you will get from doing LMA. So I say 100% give it a shot. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Well, Mariah, I just want to say, of course, it's been a pleasure taking you through the LMA journey. And kind of like what I was saying a couple of days ago during graduation, it's not the end for us. It's just a new beginning, right? We still got more growth to go. So firstly, thank you so much for your time today. And thank you so much for giving your all during the LMA process. And for those of you checking out this video, of course, thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you got the value you're after. And as always, follow your heart and take action. And let's create the life you're truly born to live. See you very soon. Take care.